quite as original. Well, Texas had borrowed this bonnie blue flag, and North Carolina just decided to borrow, well, the whole thing. And just, well, if we put a little writing on it and we switch the red and the white, we've got our own flag. So that's the North Carolinians with an even less original flag than the Texans. A couple of battles that you need to know here. First of all, the Battle of the Alamo. Okay, and this is where about 200 Texans defended this old Spanish mission in San Antonio called the Alamo. Santa Anna besieged this fort for 13 days and raised a red flag, which meant that no quarter would be given. This is a flag that pirates would fly if they were meaning to take no prisoners. Okay, so no quarter is a phrase that means that no prisoners will be taken. We talked about quartering soldiers when we were talking about the Constitution. The Third Amendment says that the United States in peacetime, people don't have to quarter soldiers in their homes. So a red flag means that if you resist, we will take no prisoners. And the few prisoners that were taken at the Alamo were executed, which infuriated the Texans. Okay, because this is something that the Texans felt like they should take prisoners based on the rules of warfare. Whereas the Mexicans believed that these people were rebels and should be executed as traitors to their country. So they have a disagreement about that, but the Texans are able to use this as a PR tool to motivate people. Um, and so at the Battle of San Jacinto, okay, Sam Houston is the general here. And so Sam Houston is fighting Santa Anna. And this is a decisive victory for the Texans. And at this Battle of San Jacinto, the Texans were yelling, "Remember the Alamo! Remember the Alamo!" Okay, so this is reminding their enemies of the atrocities that had been committed at the Alamo and at Goliad as well, where the Mexican army massacred Texan prisoners. And so this is really a rallying cry for them. So the Battle of the Alamo is not so much that this battle was militarily significant, but it's that it gave the Texans something to rally around in order to defeat the Mexicans. And here's a picture of the surrender of Santa Anna to General Sam Houston. Okay, so Sam Houston's there. As we can see, you see Sam Houston portrayed as being wounded in the battle, having to lie down to accept Santa Anna's surrender. Sam Houston becomes an instant hero. Of course, he's got a city named after him. Becomes one of the founding fathers of Texas. Okay, he's the first president. Okay, people love to elect generals president, whether it's in the United States or in Texas. Stephen F. Austin, who was in Texas long before Sam Houston, becomes the first Secretary of State. He'd actually run for president, but was defeated by Sam Houston. You can see where these people are coming from. Okay, most of these settlers in Texas are coming from the southern United States, so they're going to carry a lot of these values with them. Of course, these settlers in Texas tend to be pro-slavery, which is going to be an issue when they apply for annexation into the Union, which happens only a year after their independence. Texas says, okay, we're an independent republic, but we would like to be annexed into the United States. We would like to become one of the states in this federal union. Now, the problem here is that Jackson, although he supported Texas annexation and was a good friend of Sam Houston, he decided to leave it alone. Okay, just like at the time in Congress, they were tabling bills that or petitions that dealt with slavery. So when abolitionists would petition the government, Congress would say, we're not going to talk about this. We'll receive the petition, but we won't talk about it. So Jackson, remembering all the debate around the Missouri Compromise, which caused a lot of internal strife, Jackson decided, let's avoid this. Okay, for two reasons. Okay, so for one, you've got the fact that it's a slave state. Okay, and the North is not going to be crazy about letting in a large slave state like Texas that could possibly be divided into more slave states. Second, is that as we'll see in a second, the Texans and the Mexicans still had some disputes over their border. And so if the United States annex Texas, then they're risking war with Mexico. Slave states and free states, okay, just so we can see what's going on here. Here are the original 13 states, okay. We've got we've got six slave states, and then we've got seven free states. Now, as you can see, Kentucky and Vermont, these states tend to come in pairs, okay? Tennessee comes in as a slave state. Then you've got Ohio and Louisiana, Mississippi and Indiana, okay? Then Illinois, Alabama, Missouri, and Maine. We remember that as the Missouri Compromise. Okay, so Maine and Missouri were brought into the Union at the same time to keep the free and slave states balanced. Okay, so that's what they want there. They want a balance between free states and slave states. Arkansas is let in 1836. So the problem here is if you let in Texas, then you would have two more slave states than free states, and that's something that the North is not going to stand for at that time. So here is the problem with Texas, and from a foreign policy perspective, is that Mexico recognizes this as Texas. Sam Houston had gotten Santa Anna to sign a treaty that recognized the Texas border all the way to the Rio Grande. Okay. But the Mexicans didn't accept that treaty that had been signed, and so they disputed this land. Okay, so all of this land here is disputed territory between Mexico and Texas, which, if the United States annexes Texas, then that will be disputed territory between Mexico and the United States. So anybody that wants to let Texas in has to consider the foreign policy implications. And so John Tyler, after Jackson and Martin Van Buren had not acted on Texas annexation, John Tyler, who actually was the first president to not be elected to the presidency, William Henry Harrison, gave a long speech and got pneumonia at his inaugural address, spoke for going on 2 hours. And then he got pneumonia and died. So a month after he took office. So John Tyler becomes the president at this point, and his enemies call him his accidency as a joke. And Tyler, one thing interesting about him is, although he was a Whig, he had some positions that were not really consistent with the Whig Party's platform. For example, he decided to veto a bill that would have rechartered the Bank of the United States. And so the Whigs got together and said, wait, Whigs like the Bank of the United States. This man is not a member of our party anymore. So they kick him out of the party, and he pushed for Texas annexation along with John C. Calhoun as his Secretary of State. And he's got the distinction of being the only president to be elected to the Confederate government later on. So that's John Tyler for you. A one-term president without a party, it was going to be kind of hard for him to run for re-election. But when he was a lame duck, meaning that after the next president had been elected, but he was still president, he was able to push through a joint resolution. He couldn't get two-thirds of the Senate to make a treaty with Texas, and so he decided, well, let's bring Texas in with a joint resolution between the Senate and the House. He had a majority in both houses, so he went ahead and took that. Now, here's a political cartoon. Interesting cartoon here. You see James K. Polk, who is the Democrat running for president in 1944, or I mean, sorry, 1844, correction. And then, so you see Texas here, okay? The Texans. Now you see that these two people aboard this ship are most likely Sam Houston and Stephen F. Austin, the founding fathers here. You see that they've got these flags with the Lone Star on them. So you see Texas, of course, for anybody that can't see the symbolism, they've got the words there. And so Texas, you can see that they're trying to get into the Union. Polk saying, welcome, Texas, welcome, brothers, okay? Then you have the Whigs here, okay, and we see that the Whigs are trying to pull Texas back, okay? Henry Clay, who is running for president for the third time in 1844, you see that several Whigs had already had their political careers wrecked because of this. And so Clay, as you can see here, it looks like he's about to let go of the rope, okay, because he sees that the Texas annexation issue is something that is not popular with the American people. So Polk wins this election, close in the popular vote, but the Electoral College, Polk has a decisive victory, and he's running mainly on a platform of expansion. Okay, so Polk endorses this idea of manifest destiny, that the United States should continue to extend all the way to the Pacific Ocean and should be able to try to get however much land that he's got. So here's James K. Polk. He was a dark horse candidate. Okay, a dark horse candidate tends to be a candidate that nobody's expecting to run. So Van Buren and Calhoun had been trying to get the nomination, and James K. Polk becomes a compromise candidate. Nobody had thought going into the convention. They used to actually nominate their candidates from the convention floor. And so Polk is an unexpected candidate, but he runs on an expansionist platform, wants to annex Texas and Oregon, which Texas was actually annexed, as I said, when John Tyler was a lame duck. And so this is before James K. Polk actually took office. He was president during the Mexican War and did not seek reelection. A lot of that is because he was tired. He was a very hard-working president. And so that's Polk. He got oil lamps installed in the White House so that